Wednesday, November 6th, market analysis. Stan Ehrlich, good morning. Well. We have a very strong stock market. Usually I start out with stock market indexes and go to futures, and that'll be the case this morning. A lot of big changes. We have a new historic high on the E-mini. It can't gap up because it's really not closed any significant length of time, so no gaps. The spider sure as heck has a big gap. But we are a new high ground, and so far this morning, we are staying above previous rally highs, which were in the middle October timeframe. And as long as we stay above those highs, this looks bullish. In fact, pretty damn bullish. Well, I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see another day or two of strength. But from this point to higher, the downside dips should be back to support, which is going to be about 59.02, call it 5900, to maybe 5930 in that ballpark. And we're not much higher than that right now. But look at the 1 minute chart on the E-mini, 5 minute, excuse me. We got to the high of the day a while ago in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock. Guess what? When Trump won, probably. Downside correction afterwards, not a surprise, but the market's held very well and come all the way back up. So we have almost new highs, which look like they could happen. As long as we stay above these previous tops back a few weeks ago, this chart looks bullish. And I've been trying not to say that in the last couple of weeks because I expected market to top out, which they haven't at this point. Only if it reverses and closes badly below previous highs would I be able to hold on to any bearish expectations, but that does not appear to be in the offing. And I have to be bullish. Go with the flow. Turn as your friend. Don't be stubborn. That's stupid, et cetera, et cetera. So there it is. Now, the spider, huge gap up. One comment. Remember, I told you the gaps are almost always closed. This is a rare situation when the market gapped down a few days ago, and then this morning gapped up above the old gap and just hugely. Now, we know that it's because of the election. That's pretty obvious, the results, but a technician doesn't really care what fundamentals are applying. This is one of those weird exceptions. So as long as we hold approximately the low of today on the SPY, this gap may not get closed for maybe a long time. We'll see. I'll make comments about it periodically. But again, this looks awfully bullish, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the spider 5 minute chart. It just opened on strength, minor correction, and new highs for the morning session. And now we're looking at the QQQ, same thing because it's got the regular trading hours. California 6:30 to 1 o'clock. Anyway, right into new high ground. It's staying up there. The 5 minute chart looks like this, and it's cleared previous tops again and again and again. The thing to watch out for now is getting overbought again. And we're not too far from it on the indexes, but none of them are overbought yet on the daily data chart. Not the 1 minute or 5 minute, daily data chart. It'll turn yellow when we get into overbought territory. It'll turn yellow. It's exactly what I'm looking for, maybe in the next day or two, and then a correction. But bull trend. And now look at the NASDAQ daily data chart. New highs, new high close potentially, but not on the NQ for the whole trend. Remember, it actually did top out back here in July 11th when we got a great sell signal on the top of the market. My strategies have been acting up a little bit this morning, so I don't have them functioning quite the way I expected. Go to yesterday's recording or, whatever. So here we are on the NASDAQ, new highs on the 5 minute chart for lately, but again, going back to the daily NASDAQ, not since July 11th. Very important for the NASDAQ. Remember, it's been leading the way up and down frequently in the last couple of years. So this could turn into a double top. Maybe there are some bearish commentaries available to say in the NASDAQ. We're at a critical juncture. Either this thing is going to continue to explode in the next few weeks, and then we'll be talking about the Santa Claus rally, or we've got some exhaustion strength in progress. We'll see. Okay, back to NASDAQ 5-minute. And now we've got the YM, which is a gigantic update. Huge, making the news, new historic highs. One of the biggest updates I've seen in a long, long time. Years. Can't remember the last time I saw this big of an update. 14 big points, so to speak. 1,415 in the YM. And how much is the mini, how much is the spider up? 13 points. Yep. Okay. So now the Russell and the daily data Russell has made on a gigantic rally, also like the YM, new highs, but it is still in a major historical resistance area. And I doubt sincerely whether this is going to rally too much more because we are already 81, 85 on the RSI, very high. That has to tell me that we're close to a high. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe a little more strength in the other indexes than a correction, but that we're leading the way up on the Russell in the RSI category well into new high ground. The daily data YM, not quite overbought 74-ish. And the daily data NASDAQ, also a little further away. Okay, now we're going to go to bonds. Huge drop, currently down 57 ticks, was down a lot more than that, and has now surpassed my minimum downside objective, excuse me, on the double top formation. And of course, it reached weeks ago the minimum downside objective on the head and shoulder top. So I will probably erase these formations in the next week or two. We are not quite oversold again, but we have been for the last 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times in little clusters of 1 or a few days or 2 days or 1 day. I think we're still in the process of bottoming out and very close to. Today, if you drop down, we did drop down to this line, which is the neckline on the smaller, excuse me, one single shoulder, head and shoulder bottom. This is the shoulder. I'm going to erase that for the moment. And the outside one, we don't know yet whether that's going to happen. I still think it looks like it's plausible. But if you take into consideration only March of 23, the head of the formation, and approximately April, May of 24 as the 2 shoulders and the head, the neckline would be here. The touch of the neckline is today's low. Oh, sorry about that cough. And we are touching the neckline perfectly from a head and shoulder bottom, the way they're supposed to behave, historical expectation standpoint. So today's low is it. We shouldn't go any lower. We should start turning up. I wouldn't be surprised to see it close higher today. Well, I suppose I would. We're down a lot. But this is an outside trading range day in a down market, not quite oversold, but super close. Those are the conditions I like to talk about my Bass-Ackwards reversal. This could be a bottom because it looks like it's super bearish. I don't think so. Let's find out in the next couple of days. So now I'm talking about the test of the neckline of the single shoulder, head and shoulder bottom. If this low starts to really develop, I will simply put back, I'll do it right now, my marker for the first double shoulder, head and shoulder bottom. Next chart is the notes. They have the same situation developing, almost identical. First shoulder, second shoulder, head. First shoulder, second shoulder. I'm off on my timing. I should drop that down to here. So it's now a couple of weeks later than I thought, and a little lower than I thought. But this also is testing the neckline of its single shoulder sister, so to speak. It already did it here once, but now it's basically doing it again, and it's flat out oversold. And an outside trading range day at that, so it's a bass-backwards reversal, in my opinion, for the lack of a better name. So if we don't turn up here, what's happening? Sideways to lower? Well, if you don't turn up, that's it. I gotta say, I think we're about to turn up though. Okay, look at crude. I'm having trouble, so I've got a regular candlestick chart here with no strategy showing at all, just some of my support and resistance and trend lines and stuff. We did have a sell signal up here because I got a little red circle around it. Thank goodness that didn't disappear. And I think we're between the hard spot and a rock, vice versa. Currently down pretty much nothing. 1 second. Yep, no problems. Pretty much unchanged. Let's change the scaling here a little bit. Yeah, okay. Next, we've got heating oil. Same kind of situation, but the trend is down. The rallies are all lower than each other over a significant amount of time. And so far, the only thing that looks a little bit interesting on the bull side here is the last low is not a lower low. Last couple of lows. Plus, the last time it was down here, it held at some support from back on October 1st. So I need to start making new highs again to start talking about the likelihood being a little more likely to get up to 2.5, 2.4 and a half, and maybe even toward the major bear trend line. So I'm friendly on heating oil. And I don't have in some New York symbols my charts like I normally do. Sorry, I tried to fix it this morning quickly. I couldn't do it. Next, we've got a little lower momentarily. No, I'm sorry, higher on the day. Up against resistance. No upside follow through so far, but this is a giant bullish engulfing at the bottom of the market with an ER buy signal for sure. Remember, we have green on the RSI below my oversold 25, first characteristic, and a bullish engulfing, so it should have my signal, but again, a little bit's going wrong this morning, so I'm not showing it to you, but that is a buy signal on the bottom. Next, today's really big down day in gold and silver also, and platinum, I believe, puts me definitely in the bear camp really, really fast. As we started to make lows lower in the last couple, 3 weeks, which was probably in the middle of the night, that opinion would have kicked in, of course. Looking for a test of support down here at 26.19. We're not quite oversold yet, getting close. And then maybe even lower after that. Sorry to say that was not quite, but very, very close to a bearish ER sell signal. Silver, same comment about the sell signal, super close to a sell signal, but not quite on the top. That would have been October 23. So rally didn't make new highs, and we're crashing. Support is now not holding. We're going to be coming down to probably the ballpark of 30 and a third. And then it's quite plausible we could come down to 27 and 3/4. Next, we've got platinum. Big down day also, but already coming down pretty well the last few days. And we're already almost at my first objective, support 965-ish. If that doesn't hold because of pressure on maybe the other precious metals as well as gold and silver, we might be dropping down to 937, 38. I think that's quite probable. Copper. Big crash day. All the metals are down big. New lows since late September, well, even mid-September. Downside breakout of sorts. Support didn't hold. Everything flip-flopped. Back to bearish. We got a sell signal on the top of the copper market to the exact high day and an extra one over here. Again, my code's not working quite right. We got to fix it. Okay, so now soybeans and new Chicago markets are doing fine with my signals. A large down day early this morning, but we've come back pretty darn good. And let's turn on something real quick here. Good. Now I can see we're high and last and up just a little tiny bit. This would not be a bullish engulfing ER buy signal, but it would be a bullish engulfing if we can get above yesterday's high. That's interesting. Support held again, third time basically. Over the last few weeks, the lows are significantly higher than 2 or 3 months ago. This could be significant if we break out to the upside. I'm going to continue to watch for that. And I also mentioned yesterday if we don't break out to the upside, and it had a good chance to do it a little earlier, well, something bullish could be developing here. Next, we've got a very large outside up day, nowhere near oversold and not overbought either. Basically, this implies that it's going to start to work its way higher in soybean oil. Now, it is already showing some decent signs of bottoming out here on a longer term basis. So I'm starting to get a little more friendly, a little more quickly on an intermediate to long term basis in these grain markets. Our last buy signal was right here, August 23rd. A couple of sell signals that worked okay, not very well. From a bullish standpoint, we could have had a shoulder that was very broad and looked like two shoulders, to be honest with you. The head of the formation down here, I disregard that one. Maybe I shouldn't. But that one looks like a shoulder. It's at the right prices and about the right time. And we never had the second shoulder on the right. Instead, we broke out to the upside across the neckline on a closing basis. And then we did that on October 31st. Today's low was smack dab back to the neckline. Remember the other chart that touched the neckline? Bonds or notes? This is doing the exact same thing. And it's already way above the high of the previous closes. And it made a new high completely by a little bit. That's great. Again, the rule of thumb with head and shoulder necklines is you're supposed, if it's a bottom formation, you're supposed to consider being a buyer at or just a little bit above the neckline on downside retracements, which was today's low. So that did exactly what the book says, so to speak. And I'm in 20 books. Meal, new low by a tiny bit, oversold. Still a little lower on the day. Not really turning around, but I'm very suspicious in the support area oversold that we are in the process of bottoming out here. Keep your eye on meal from the long side. Next, strong day in corn, new highs. And again, I'm now starting to see in grains as a general group some pretty decent reasons to start talking about an intermediate to longer term bull market move. Not convinced of that quite yet. Liking what I see, though, that's for sure. Buy signal on the bottom in corn exactly October 17th, and another one a couple of days later. They're great. Next chart's wheat. We have another bullish engulfing in progress right now. All it has to do is stay higher than yesterday's close. Support is holding in general. New highs for a few days. Unfortunately, not oversold would have been better with a bullish engulfing. But again, I'm talking bull here. Move up, not BS. And our signal at the bottom of the market has been good since August 27th. That could turn into a whopper of a long-term signal if we start rallying a little more here. I'm talking about a buy signal that would last many months, not just two. Maybe a lot longer than that, since wheat's come down from an incredible, the beginning of the war type move. Next, we've got cattle up a little today. Support is holding, not apparently affected that much by the election results. I'm still looking for lower levels. Support's just barely holding. We had a bearish engulfing, but not a sell signal, unfortunately, because it wasn't quite overbought at the top of the market. Super, super close, but close to a signal. And, I can't say the signal happened, so I can't give it credit. But it is had come down, and we're going sideways just a couple of days, looking for lower levels. And what about Miss Piggy? Overbought. Looked like it could continue up after testing support 2 days ago, but now we dropped into support, and guess what? Gaps are almost always closed. How accurate was this? The high of the day is 80.825, and today's low is 80.825. It closed the gap to the exact tick. Haven't seen that for a while. And now we're right back up to the high of the day, higher than yesterday's close. And I don't know, woulda, coulda, shoulda bought it around 80.80 or so, 825, just a little bit above that. And we're at 81.75. What is it, 81.75 now? Great. Back to the E-mini. I just don't see it yet. I need to see some significant weakness come into these stock market indexes, and they're just not doing it. They're all near their highs. They're all looking like they could have a little minor downside twitch here and make another set of new highs yet today. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.